Liam Lawson's journey in Formula One has been full of surprises. After making his debut at the Australian Grand Prix, his career took an unexpected turn when he was demoted following the Chinese race. But now, he's back with VAB for the Japanese Grand Prix just weeks after getting a chance with Red Bull. During this time, Lawson has openly shared his thoughts with the media, taking some shots at Red Bull and, more notably, Christian Horner, about the events that led to his departure. Reflecting on his experience, Lawson had shown confidence in his ability to adapt to Red Bull before the season began. Back in February, he expressed that his primary focus was not on whether the car's driving style suited him, but on maximizing the performance of whatever car he was given. However, after switching to Red Bull, Lawson argued that an incompatible driving style was not the main issue he faced. Instead, he pointed out that his biggest challenge was the limited track experience he had. Looking back at his brief stint with Red Bull, Lawson noted that the team is known for being tough on evaluating drivers, even when things are going well. He pointed out that both Nick de Vries and Daniel Ricciardo were recent examples of drivers who found themselves out of the team despite their skills. Red Bull's strict standards were evident when Christian Horner and Helmut Marko decided it was essential to demote Lawson after just 2 weeks into 2025. Initially, Red Bull had been optimistic when they offered Lawson a contract, so this decision came as a tough blow for the 23-year-old. Lawson had been confident in his ability to compete against Max Verstappen, a belief that remained strong going into the preseason. However, the reality of the first few races did not go as planned, and Lawson admitted to being disappointed. He pointed to the lack of track time rather than the car's characteristics as the main reason for his struggle to perform at his best. It was a rough start to the season for Lawson, with a rocky testing phase and a difficult first weekend in Melbourne. Things didn't get much better in China, where the sprint race format added more pressure. Lawson explained that driving a car that he wasn't familiar with made it even harder to perform at the level he wanted. He acknowledged that a more experienced driver, familiar with the tracks, might have had an easier time adjusting. He also mentioned how valuable the opportunity to drive at familiar circuits could have been. But ultimately, he recognized that it wasn't his decision, and he had to make the most of his current opportunity with VAB. Before the Chinese Grand Prix, many expected Lawson's potential to be clearer after races in Japan and Bahrain, given his years of experience in Super Formula and his previous testing in Bahrain. But Red Bull felt Lawson's challenges were too critical to delay further, and they chose to make a change sooner. Lawson reflected on how the lack of time in the car affected his ability to adjust to the RB21. He explained that during preseason testing, drivers spend long hours in the car, which provides ample time for adjustments. But in Lawson's case, he was constantly adapting to new challenges without enough time to get comfortable with the car. For him, the issue wasn't the car's driving style, but simply not having enough time to make the necessary adjustments. This lack of preparation made it even harder to get up to speed, and Lawson's inability to find his rhythm with the car led to difficulties. While it's clear that Lawson has the talent, the pressures of performing under Red Bull's intense scrutiny were a significant hurdle. This situation leaves his future with Red Bull uncertain, especially if Yuki Tsunoda performs well in his place. If Tsunoda shows immediate progress, it may not reflect positively on Lawson's 2-race stint with the RB21. Despite the uncertainty surrounding his future with Red Bull, Lawson still has opportunities ahead of him. His return to VAB provides a chance to rebuild his reputation. The Fenza-based team has a competitive car, as demonstrated by drivers like Tsunoda and Isaac Hadja, who have managed to challenge for top 10 finishes. Lawson now has a platform to prove his worth and show that he can deliver solid performances. While Red Bull's doors may not be open for him in the immediate future, Lawson can still use the time with VAB to build a foundation for his career. He has the opportunity to gain an edge over his new teammate, Har, which would give him a stronger position in the F1 market. Red Bull's driver lineup has seen dramatic shifts in recent years, and Lawson, as a young driver with a competitive car, is in an excellent position to rebound. Still, his comments regarding Red Bull, particularly Horner, may have hurt his chances with the team. The situation with Lawson's departure from Red Bull became more complicated just before the Japanese GP weekend. As the team's driver lineup continued to evolve, Christian Horner's crew was under immense pressure. The spotlight shifted to Yuki Tsunoda, who would replace Lawson for the remainder of 2025, and he was about to face the challenge of racing for his home team in Japan. Tsunoda's ability to perform under these conditions, particularly with the added pressure of potentially wet race conditions, would be a critical test. Despite the unusual circumstances of such a rapid driver change, Horner maintained confidence in the team's decision. He was optimistic that Tsunoda's experience would help the team move forward. Lawson's decision to voice dissatisfaction with his treatment at Red Bull wasn't taken lightly by the team, but Horner brushed off any harsh comments, believing that sometimes tough decisions had to be made for the greater good. Christian Horner's belief in Lawson was clear last season when the 23-year-old was promoted to Red Bull after only 11 races in Formula One. Red Bull's decision to pair him with Max Verstappen was a bold move, especially considering the team's history of promoting young drivers quickly. However, it became evident that Lawson's time in the car wasn't enough to make the necessary adjustments. Horner admitted that the decision to elevate him was perhaps premature, and he believes that Yuki Tsunoda's experience will provide the team with the stability they need. As for Lawson, he's been told to rebuild his career with VAB, where the pressures are less intense than at Red Bull. This shift in focus could help him regain his confidence and skills. Horner expressed that Lawson's future in F1 isn't over despite the setback. Red Bull hopes that Tsunoda's feedback on the car will help refine the setup for the remainder of the season. Time will tell if this change pays off, but one thing is clear. F1 is a fast-moving environment, and Lawson's journey is far from over.